Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for being patient with me. Today we are here for the Kaido King of the Beast review. This is one of the top figures I've been waiting for 2024. In this One Piece line, it is off to a shaky start, but I think that they are really getting their rhythm. And Kaido so far, just off of first impressions when I was messing with him, he's pretty cool. Yeah, let's just jump straight into this because I cannot contain my excitement. This guy is just stellar. Now, I haven't put on all of his accessories like the coat or whatever it is because, one, this space that I usually do like my reviews in is very limited, and usually I have enough space for a regular standard action figure, right? Now, this dude being as tall as he is, he's taking up quite a few... I don't even know what to call it, real estate on my desk. So you're not gonna be able to see the whole thing until I take that tail off, but we're gonna work with it. So be patient with me, but we're gonna get through this. It might be a little bit long review, so stick around. But yeah, first things first, I do want to get the accessories out the way. That way so we can condense some of this real estate on the desk. So first things first, let's talk about his tail. So it is considered an accessory at this point. I mean, you can take it off, but the tail itself is nothing super special in my opinion. And we're just gonna make sure Kaido is balanced back there. Yep. All right. Design wise, I mean, the tail is also doing the same thing with Kaido, where it's got the painted dark blue scales, and then they just kind of fade off and not do the rest. I know that that's been a complaint and a concern for people. It's unfortunate that they didn't do that and just finish it off, because I think it would look way cooler, but I'm sure somebody will figure it out and want to paint the rest themselves. Not that you should have to, but articulation wise, this tail is nothing crazy, so I can't really give it like 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but it does do the job. And if you need an extra body parts to keep him standing still, this helps, especially if you just want him standing upright. But also, they do have some nice colors and shading going down here on the tail. I know a lot of people are, crazy about that. And for a $200 or 200 and up figure, absolutely it should have it. This is on a ball peg here with the tail end piece. I forget the whole thing, how that works with the dragon fruit forms. I know that there's the awakening. I guess this is his awakened form, right? If not, let me know, because it's been a while since I watched those episodes. But anyways, I'm going to put this tail away for now, and we'll get back into the articulation segment with it. So, freeze frame, I did actually kind of forget to bring the tail back, but that's mostly just because the tail doesn't have any crazy articulation. It literally is just up and down in each segment for the most part. It doesn't really do anything super crazy or, I think, unique, similar to maybe other tails you've seen, so that's kind of why. Sorry, back to the video. So we have his weapon here. I don't know what to call it, a mace. I know that they typically are saying Thunder Bayuga or something like that whenever he swings it for his attacks, but this thing has some weight to it, man. Like, this is not light. It's light, but it's not like super light. Like, this could, if you hit somebody with this, they would feel the pain. But similar to Yamato, you just take it off here and bim bam boom, you can do that. And then you just put it back on, and there you go. I'll show some brief poses with it later on. But yeah, very, very cool. And I mean, if you want to do the father-son duo, you could do that with Yamato. It's very, very, very cool to have both of these side by side. That's the one thing I will say. If we had just Yamato, I'd still be happy, but the fact that we have both of them together is really cool. And now for the big accessory that I really don't want to put on him. This is like the least favorite thing out of the whole package for me, is this big weighted cape or coat, whatever it is. It's not appealing to me, for one, because it's plastic, whereas I think if they went with some fluffy soft goods or something like that, it would look better and feel better. I just personally don't like the feel of having to deal with this plastic like that, in my personal opinion. Some people don't mind, and that's fine, but it's just not something I'm interested in. And this is not just for Kaido. I don't like that Law and Kid both have that. It just doesn't look good to me. That's the best way I can put it. But I will put this on him briefly. It is heavy though, so I mean, the more you add to him, the more he's gonna be weighted down, which isn't a bad thing because it'll mean he has weight to hold him down to the ground, and then maybe you could use weight redistribution to balance him out better. But at the same time, all that weight on him, I just don't feel too good about it too, with the joints over time. For now, out the box, this figure actually, is very tight in the joints, meaning I've had to actually use a little bit of extra force to like bend his feet and actually bend the wrist pegs. So I appreciate that out the box, and it's not super squeaky or anything, it's just nice and tight. But over time, I would get kind of cautious of it. And here is the, I would say, funniest, coolest accessory out the box. I think this is just, I don't know what to call this, but it has alcohol in it. It has alcohol in it. And then he comes with a hand specifically to hold it. You just match it up. And there it goes. And it stays in pretty well. Initially, I thought it was just going to be like a regular hand that you could pop in there. But still, very, very cool. And the expression that goes with this is just, it's phenomenal. Probably the best out the box. Just like Toto with his, I don't know what face to call that. Euphoric face or whatever. I like that they're doing more silly expressions like that. And we do have one more cool accessory that comes in this box. However, it's not actually for Kaido, so let's take a peek at that. Alright, so we have this new accessory here for Luffy, and as you know, majority of the Luffy expressions come with other characters, and I know that people feel, a little upset by that, but this is what they want to do, and they don't need to do it. I think it's just a cool little thing going on, but they definitely could stack some releases with their own, abundance of faces, similar to what they did with the most recent announcement. That one has an abundance of really cool, unique expressions. But this one in particular is right after he basically just KOs, after Kaido smacks him down and their fight is interrupted by one of the government officials or whatever it was, while he was in, I want to say, 4th gear, a bounce man. And yeah, I mean, I want to see what the other face looks like. The turning into Gear 5 one. I know we got an in-person preview in Jump Festa event, I believe. But when we actually get it, I'm curious to see how that looks in hand. This one looks pretty good. Not too much to really say about it. Maybe they could have made it more like hollow or something under his eyes, like, I don't know, dark, to give that signification that he's like really knocked out. Because I mean, the white eyes and the actual mouth expression, they're okay, but I think something extra could have been added just to make it look a little bit more dramatic or something. But for now, it's cool. Alright, so now that pretty much just leaves us with the other face expressions as well as the other hands and the stand to show off. So this is just our average, regular grinning, smiling expression. And I will say, putting in the whiskers for that Kaido back there has been not difficult, but trying. Because trying to get it into that little hole right there, pause, and, pushing down on it, you don't want to bend it, break it, but at the same time, you want to make sure it's secure in there. And there's been at least 3 faceplates I've had it just go in perfectly. And the other ones, it's like that one whisker, which this side usually, it doesn't want to fully go in. And at that point, I'm just like, all right, we'll just leave it partially in. So that's my one concern with those whiskers, is just, bending it and getting little crease marks all over it. So yeah, this is the grinning expression. Here's his laughing expression. And you'll notice also, you will have to put the beard piece on each faceplate. And I know that probably seems annoying to do, but I do like the option of having some mobility in each faceplate regardless. So the fact that you can interchange those, I think is cool. That way, so you just have that range of motion no matter what. I know usually it would just be already there, but like I said, more options the better, right? Here we've got a yelling expression, maybe when he's charging at you, you know what I mean? Or just angry in general, letting out a big blast, whatever. And here we have one of my favorite expressions out the box. It's him when he's drunk and just kind of messing around during the fight. And I think it was, a lot of people were saying it's basically like a flip side where, you know, Luffy was kind of not taking it seriously. And then as soon as Kaido starts getting drunk, Luffy wants to be serious and Kaido's not taking it seriously. Nice turnaround, you know. I really enjoyed that fight. I haven't finished it yet because, you know, no one wants to catch up and then go week to week. I gotta have like at least 100 episodes to binge, man. So I haven't finished the Gear 5 fight. Maybe when we get the figure, I'll finish it. But yeah, definitely one of the best. We have one more expression to look at, and then we'll move into looking at the stand and talking about that for a little bit. The final expression, him crying. All the nose, the tears, bro. Very, very cool. I need them to keep this up. For the One Piece line especially, I think that's not going to be a problem, but I would love to see this translate into other lines with just giving us, you know, silly faces. You know, we don't get enough of those, I think, across the board, and I feel like this is a good chance to like really see it boom, because I know Naruto gets a couple of those here and there, I would say, but outside of that, I don't think I've seen Dragon Ball do it too often, so I would like to see it more there as well. But yeah, let me grab the stand, we'll briefly talk about that, and then we'll get into the articulation of this dude. Alright, so here's our stand. I initially thought this was bigger than what it is actually right now. So it is just a little stand piece, and you basically put it under his crotch, and that allows him to stand. Now, being that he can stand without it, and can use the tail if you need to, this is just totally irrelevant for me right now. However, there may become a time where you want to have him stay in a really dynamic pose, and then that's where you want to use this if you're planning not to change the pose. But I know a lot of people who are probably going to be taking lots of pictures with this dude, or maybe making stop motions or whatever, that probably, you know, may also want to use this, but at the same time may not want to have a big old stand in the way. So I mean, it's cool that they included it. The base is interesting, but again, it's not too big. When we saw it at previous events, I thought it was a lot bigger, so I can appreciate it being smaller than it actually is. Anyways, though, so that's pretty much it in terms of his regular accessories. He does have a couple other hands, which are not anything super crazy, so I'll just briefly show those. Got your open palm hands, you got your weapon holding hands, and then of course you've got a pointing finger. Alright, so I brought Kaido in for a close-up here. We're first going to start talking about the head, hair, and neck articulation. Now, similar to Yamato, he does have the articulation in his hair. It is heavy, but it can stay up pretty well, and I think that really has to do with also the neck not being super loose or anything like that. This also can twist and turn a little bit, but not as much as Yamato, which is fine. It doesn't really need to. It is pretty hard plastic, but there's little bits and pieces that are a little softer than others. Now, the head, the actual neck peg piece here, I feel like maybe it should be longer. That's why. It pops out fairly easily, like at any time I'm doing this too much, it pops out way too easily in my opinion. But it's secure is the best way to say it. It just, I would prefer if it didn't pop out with the faceplate every single time. And that'd be the biggest complaint I have there. But with the neck and stuff like that, it moves really well. Like I said though, the faceplates have that issue where once you bend down too far, and I mean, that's really depending on how long the faceplates are, they do start to pop out a little bit at the seams. I can kind of show that here. Let me put this back on. There we go. So the more you want him to look down, as you can see, it's going to start popping out. Unfortunate, but it's a pretty common thing on most of the SH Figuarts products. So one day we'll get there where it's not going to be happening so much. But yeah, like I said, he has his articulation a little bit on his beard piece. so that's pretty cool. And then the whiskers fully articulated. And like I said, this is what I'm talking about. They feel like they're secure, but they're not, and then they pop off. So for now, you know, after I've shown off the articulation, just so I'm not losing pieces, I'm going to take it off. But you can see it has a very good mobility, and it does stay on pretty well when they're actually in there. And right now, I don't even know what that is, but looks funny without the whiskers. Looks like cheese, bro. Yeah, that looks weird. Now for the shoulder arm articulation here, he doesn't have an actual traditional butterfly joint. I was a little surprised by that, but at the same time, I think that what they did here, and Jesus, these faceplates are not loving me using all that range there. But back to the articulation. He can actually get his arms across all the way as if he did have a butterfly joint, and that really is basically just how they did this here with the ball peg hinge being able to do all that. So I mean, you're not really gonna have to worry about him being able to reach across and hold his weapon with both hands, as well as just being able to cross his arms in general. So I really do appreciate that from them, because nobody likes not having good articulation in the arms. I mean, yes, the biggest example for that is gonna be Zoro. I'm sorry. He is just like the best example of not having a butterfly joint for a character that needs a butterfly joint. I don't get it. But yeah, very, very nice what they did here. So let's see. His articulation here at the torso is nothing super crazy. Now he is a big character, so I'm gonna have to use both hands here. But yeah, it is nothing super crazy. Let's see, going back. And nothing crazy there either. You're really going to be taking advantage of that lower abdomen piece. There you go. So there is no gappage, which is good. And he is getting some decent range there. I don't want to take it off, like this top portion, just because I don't know how well ingrained it is in there. But this, I don't think it gets in the way too much, considering how much space is actually in between the waist and the actual, you know, abdomen there. So I wouldn't call it an issue. But yeah, that's about as far down as he's going. And trying to use that crotch piece area for extra articulation is going to be a little challenging, but that's where you use the legs instead. So his legs, and excuse all of the metal clinking sounds, but they're there. So he does have those kind of hind legs like an animal, so his legs are not going to look normal, which is okay. But he can get his leg up pretty well. And at the bend, just basic 90 degrees, which for the type of form he's taken on, which is half dragon or hybrid dragon, I mean, it makes sense that he would not be able to do anything super crazy with those legs. And I mean, this portion right here actually does have some articulation, so you could move it to the side, but it obviously doesn't have any articulation here at that point. The ankles do move pretty well. It is very tight, like I said in the beginning though. And then you also have little toe articulation, so you can move these, you can take them off. Not that I recommend doing so, because if you lose that, he's gonna be missing a toe, which, I mean, you can make some fan-made canon lore or whatever you want to do. But very, very nice overall. He does have... Ooh. You actually just caught something interesting on camera. So I was trying to push it as much as I could, just because, I mean, why not? He can pretty much get into a split, and I'm going to put that back. But I do think that that looks like metal in there, so that could be why it's so strong and holding in well, which is good, because why would I want to have really, really, really cheap plastic in there that's going to break when they know that this is a big character that people are going to be messing around with. It is a figure at the end of the day, it's not a statue, so it does need to be able to articulate. Anyways, let me get this back on here, and like I said, it's very tight. Like, this is, I like that it's tight like this, because sheesh, If it was loose, you know, he'd be able to barely stand. But let me put this back in there and we'll get back to the topic. All right, good as new, and we're back. So I did want to also show here that he can't really do any kind of like crazy back kicks. I mean, this portion right there is blocking it. It is what it is, but I mean, you're not probably expecting to really be doing anything super crazy like that anyways with him. So I mean, it could be okay. But let me get him all dressed up and posed up, and we'll finish talking about him, because wow, what a figure so far. In the One Piece line, I mean, they definitely have shot up the ranks, in my opinion. Year 5 Luffy, which comes out in a couple of months, I believe, has high expectations with that bendy wire, and I'm really hoping it does well, because I think that will impact how accessories happen going forward for Luffy. You know, with maybe getting gum effects with bendy wire in just standard figures, and that might make him a little bit more expensive, but I think the fact that he would have more and justify the prices would be better overall. But let me get him posed up and we'll finish talking about him. One thing really quick that I want to point out, because I didn't point this out before, was that these are actually different sizes. So my issue with that though is being able to change the way you want to have the hands holding it. You can't. Yamato had like, I think 3 different variations of this. I definitely think that they could have just added in an extra set just so you can evenly change them out, because what if you want to hold it like this or like that? You have to have it a specific way with it being as small as it is, because this is only going to fit at the bottom. So that's one minor thing. Let me know how you guys feel about that, but let me get back to posing him really quick. Alright, so we've made it to the end with this review and just general thoughts talking about this figure. I do want to say, after you saw the little mishap with his leg popping off like that, his leg has been popping off a little bit more in that spot specifically, but it is easy to pop in and it's not just falling off, so that's a good thing. But something to be wary of when you're, I guess, going into that articulation. If you want to take it all the way, just be super careful not to do what I did, which is just push a little bit too hard in the opposite direction. So yeah, there is that. And, you know, talking a little bit about what I said before about the hands using the weapons there. Initially, when I was trying to pose him, I was trying to have him do it the other way, and that just wasn't working for me, because, you know, the hand sizes specifically, it just doesn't, he can't put this hand above here. Oops, I hit you, Luffy, I'm sorry. But yeah, it just doesn't work. And it's a minor complaint, but again, when you already give those options to another character who has the same weapon, I just figured you might as well do it for this one. And I mean, it is what it is. There are a multitude of ways I can use these hands to have him hold that weapon and be using it against Luffy or any other character. So not too pressed about it, but just something to point out. And like I said, with all of this stuff on him, he is weight heavy. Like, he is not light at all. If I had a scale, I would weigh him right now. But yeah, that cape right there, I think, is going to be taking up most of the weight, and it's unfortunate. But it does articulate well, and that's one thing I was very cautious about, is it actually going to hold its own weight? Not even worrying about Kaido itself. Is it going to be able to stay in an actual pose state like that? And it does, so that's something to be proud of. Again, I think Tamashii really did a great job with this figure overall. Minor things like paint application, definitely, you know, I wish that they would have just finished it all, because it would have made him look even cooler. And even, I think, throwing a hint of purple in there into the blue could have been really cool. If you recognize, I forget which episodes it was, but I think that's when Kaido, he looks different, right? Like, he's got the cloud kind of eyebrows and stuff, which I think he has here, but he did have like a little bit more of like a purple kind of shading to him. So I don't know where that went specifically, but yeah, that's just something to note. All of his expressions are amazing. I think the one thing the One Piece line has had going for it is most of the expressions being just pretty much on point. You know, there's one Luffy expression that's just kind of like, yeah, you know, but for the most part, all of them have been very funny, very cool, and people were definitely excited for those. And yeah, I mean, the articulation here, again, with Kaido, very different. And again, with the butterfly joint not being there, but them supplementing it with those kind of, I want to say almost like how Revoltech does their arms, except it doesn't have that that chest piece that slides up and down. That's the only thing this doesn't have, which if they did do that, and I don't know if they can or not, if they're allowed to, but if they did, definitely think that would have made this Kaido like even better, maybe like a full 10 out of 10. So like with the minor things I've said, I would put him at a 9 out of 10 for me. The price, I feel like I got my money's worth with this guy. He's a great figure. If you want to display him in just one pose and leave him in that, go for it. But he's a great figure to still play around with, and a great figure to leave in a forever pose, if you will, and just fun to put around the rest of the cast. So I can't wait to hopefully get more Onigashima characters, but I don't know if they're going to go back to it. And right now we're in a kind of transition phase where we're going from Onigashima to East Blue, so we'll see what they do. But talking about just the One Piece line in general, now that we've got our first big character out the way, and yes, I know he's not all that big when you think about it as a figure, but any bigger, and he most certainly would be hitting that 250 as a starting price to 275. And being honest, if he was still good at that size, probably I would get him. But I don't think I need an accurately scaled figure like that unless I'm gonna go get a statue at that point, because holy crap, these things take up a ton of space. Porunga, as big as it is, I cannot even display him right now. If I had Great Ape, I'd probably have to leave him in the box too, because I do think this Kaido is not as big as the Great Ape, and if he is, he does box wise feel smaller. But yeah, in comparison, I do have like Carnage and stuff here on the side, but I like this pose and I don't want to mess it up. But you can see like Carnage is just barely under him, right? And Carnage was a tall freaking character, so for him to be that size already, yeah, you can see the height difference there. So it makes you wonder about other characters in the future, like Big Mom, Katakuri, Arlong, all those type of characters. I definitely think we won't get another big character like this super fast, and if they do another big character like this, it probably would be like a Big Mom character or something from one of the more recent arcs. I haven't read a lot of it, but I have heard a little bit people talking about it, so something from there. But other characters like Katakuri, I could see being the size of like Carnage, Arlong being the size of like Yamato, stuff like that. Crocodile more or less being in the same kind of height class like that. So I definitely think, you know, they're okay with taking those risks, and assuming lots of people did buy Kaido, are showing their interest for it. Definitely, I think that's going to push them to say, okay, we're fine with making these characters with these outrageous scaling, you know, things going on in the anime and manga. Let's go for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All I can really say so far. I really love the figure, and dude, like, if you got this guy, I hope you're enjoying him. If you're not getting him, I hope you're enjoying him through others. And if you don't care about him, still say you support the One Piece line, because we need all the support we can get, and the Bleach line too, but that's another topic, another video. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this review. Thank you guys for being patient with me while I'm on my weird transition back into this video creation phase after being sick and some other things that I'll talk about later. There is going to be more videos, don't worry. We have other reviews coming up, other figures that are coming out, and of course, more news. I do want to do a big live stream talking about all these third-party products I bought, because I've just not had the time to make a single video for each one, and I really want to show them off. So somewhere down the line, I will do that, so be on the lookout. But anyways, I will catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace. No pun intended.